To Look a Nazi in the Eye, written by Kacer with Jordana Lebowitz, narrated by Gabi Epstein. For Jordana, a fearless and fabulous young woman. During the 4.5 years of its existence, 1,300,000 people were deported to the Auschwitz concentration camp. Of those, 1,100,000 died there. Of that number, at least 1 million were Jews. Out of more than 8,000 SS members who worked as Nazi guards in Auschwitz and survived, only 43 SS men were brought to trial. 9 received life sentences. 25 went to prison. Most went home and never faced justice in the courts. Asterisk. Dvir Abramovich on Leon Compton's ABC Radio Breakfast Show, Australia, youtube.com. Prologue. April 2015. Oskar Groening, the man accused of aiding and abetting in the murder of more than 300,000 Jews in the Auschwitz-Birkenau death camp, was about to enter the German courtroom. Jordana was seated among the spectators awaiting his entrance. Her heart was thumping so hard it felt as if someone were drumming on her chest. Aiding and abetting. It was one of those expressions you only heard in television courtroom dramas, the kind of phrase that everyone recognized, but no one really understood. Jordana had done her homework to unravel what it meant in real terms. The truth was, Oskar Groening had not directly murdered anyone. He had not fired a gun, dropped a canister of poisonous gas, administered lethal injections, or pulled the hangman's lever. And yet, the lawyers were going to argue that he was as guilty as those who had. Aiding and abetting. It meant that through his position in the death camp, even though he was considered low in the chain of command, he had helped make the killings proceed in a smooth and efficient manner. By his administrative presence in Auschwitz, he had been an accomplice to mass murder. This whole line of reasoning was completely new in the German court system. The reporters' cameras were trained on a door at the front and side of the courtroom, ready to capture the moment when Oskar Groening would walk in and take his seat next to his lawyers. On the other side sat the Holocaust survivors, dozens of witnesses who had come from around the world. Jordana glanced over at Max, Hetty, and Bill, the 3 survivors from Toronto who were becoming her friends. Each one of them, along with many others, would be testifying later that week, telling the stories of how they had arrived in Auschwitz years ago with their families, only to be separated in the first hour. Each one would recount how they had watched mothers, brothers, fathers, grandparents walk in the opposite direction, not realizing that it would be the last time they would see them. Each would talk about what it was like to be on the ramp in Auschwitz, that infamous place of arrival and separation. This was the gravel platform, nearly 4 football fields in length, where Jewish prisoners were unloaded from the cattle trains that had brought them here. This was the place where Oskar Groening had worked, rifling through the prisoners' luggage to remove money and valuables, then clearing the ramp to prepare for the arrival of the next transport. Jordana was anxious for these elderly people, and about what they were going to face in testifying. Hetty looked composed and stoic, Bill grim-faced, Max calm and resolute. Thomas Walther, the prosecuting lawyer who had brought the survivors to Germany, sat protectively next to them. Jordana felt close to him, even though they had just met. It was probably more accurate to say that she was in awe of him. This was the man who, along with his team, had spearheaded the process of prosecuting Oskar Groening. Since his retirement, he had made it his life's work to bring Nazis like Groening to justice. The newspapers were calling Walter the last Nazi hunter. "I can't believe I'm
Sample complete. Ready to continue?